All right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get the slides pulled up. Welcome. It is Lord Kavi. Today we are going to talk about astral vision. Um, I have been active in the astral for a very long time. Um, I had my first experience when I was about 17. It was very, 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 very intense. Um, Involved some substances, this and that. I've had many, 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 many similar experiences to that in the hundreds, not well over the hundreds in that count. And I know my shit. No one seems to be talking about astral vision. No one seems to be talking about what you should be seeing or what tingles mean in your hand when you're meditating. I mean, these are all very, very important signals and things to understand and learn and incorporate into your meditation practice. Um, what people don't realize often is they've probably already had a lot of contact with their higher selves already, and they just don't know it because they don't know how to interpret the signals. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Okay, first of all, um, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening when you're meditating. So, um, basically, everything is made up of these particuli. Uh, uh, Basically, the particuli is the smallest unit, right? They form these particuli grids, essentially. Those are the smallest units. Those feed in to your chakras. Chakras are like your power cords. All right. Your chakras feed into your hova bodies. Your hova bodies create these shields, which project onto your auric field the reality that you are living currently. Right? This is all out of the Ashayana Deane texts. I have a video I will be making in the next day or two that explains this all in excruciating detail. It is fascinating stuff. But what I'm getting here in short is that everything is energetic primarily. Everything is energetic first. It's physical after it's energetic. So when you are meditating, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. All right. So when you hop into a meditation, maybe you want to meet a being. Oh my gosh, I meditated and I tried so hard and I didn't meet my higher self, Kavi. What the fuck? You're so wrong. You're totally wrong. No, I'm not. It happened. You just didn't see it in your astral vision because you have not developed your astral vision, or because it was not for your highest and best light to view that being at that time. All right. So there. Anyway, you can hop into the astral and do all sorts of things, and it's completely real because everything is energetic. That is my point here. In quotes, if you visualize it in your head, it is happening in the astral. You don't have to necessarily see it for it to happen. When I go do my Maharic seal, it never looks the same way. Never once has it looked the same way, right? Every moment is different. So every meditation I do is going to be different. So if your meditation looks the exact same way every time, it's probably V2K. You're probably hopping into some government, the government actually has the ability, voice to skull technology, to actually kind of hop into your head and kind of put thoughts in your head. All right. They use the 5G towers and some other HARP technology and all this bullshit. That's why I wear this hat every time. It's an EMF blocking hat, so it blocks all that out. Yes, it is my tinfoil hat. I bought a special one. It wasn't that expensive, wasn't anything that fancy, but you should probably wear one all day. But anyway, when you're going to meditate, it's never going to be the same exact experience twice. When you're doing your Maharic seal, it's never going to be the exact same twice. So just get that in your head. So when you're looking for a visual, when you're thinking of a visual, when all you have to do is have the intent and picture it in your mind's eye. You don't necessarily have to see it with closed eyes in the astral for it to exist. So let's say you, um, you know, you got an issue with, I don't know, one of your chakras, and you want to hop into the astral. You did your Maharic seal, you did your cleansing words for my channel. You aligned yourself with the infinite flow of natural source. You called back your altars, and then you released all of the altars that aren't aligned with the infinite flow of natural organic source back to source, right? Let's say you've already done that, and then you go and you do your Maharic seal, right? So you're all ready to meditate. You want to do some chakra work. All right. Just because you don't see your chakra with your closed eyes doesn't mean you're not affecting your chakra. You definitely are. You don't have to literally see it with your closed eye vision in when you're meditating for it to actually work. That is a very, very, very important thing to understand. And I just hit you with a shitload of theory. Watch more of my videos and it'll make more sense. Um, But in quotes, if you visualize it in your head, it is happening in the astral. Um, so let's move on. Um, let's talk about onks. So basically, this is what I call your onks, right? You can see my hands here. Basically, you're making the A-OK symbol. You have something called your radial artery, right? You have your heart here, and the furthest point from your heart is the tip of your finger. So essentially, by doing this, the way your hand works is the radial artery flows through here, and it goes around here and comes back, right? And these fingers come off of the radial artery in terms of blood flow. So by doing this, you are connecting the furthest point from your heart to your heart. So by doing it on both hands, you've now created an electrical circuit, right? So if you've ever done an electricity course, right, you have everything. Basically, the circuit isn't complete until you do this, right? I don't know if you've ever done an electric set or whatever, chemistry set or whatever the fuck you call it. When you complete the circuit, the light turns on, right? When you do this, the light in your brain turns on. All right. That's how you can activate some of your higher abilities. And everyone has these. All right. Most people probably use them all the time and don't even realize it. And that's why we're talking about these things today. So, on a surface level, this connects your radial artery, furthest place from your heart to your heart. So, this makes you like a high voltage energy system. Okay. I also, in terms of hands, I have a reflexology chart. Everywhere in your hands aligns with an organ. Your organs align to chakras. Your chakras are the power cables that take the Partakai units, the Partakai grids, all the little particles that are you, right? And convert them from particles floating around in space, which is what you are, to this image that you see, this 3D image that feels tough, and there's a table here, it feels physical and all that. That's all a projection, all right? And that happens through your bodily systems, all right? Everything is connected in your body. So when you have your hand, all right, different portions of your hand connect with different organs in your body. So if you have a chakra that's bothering you, every chakra aligns to an organ. All right. Maybe you could put a quartz stone on that chakra point on your hand if you want to maybe heal that chakra. Just a suggestion. Anyway, you need to design your own meditations that fit what you want to do with your intent. And I'm going to just give you the tools to do it. So this is a hand reflexology chart. I think it's right here. There's a few other charts you can look at. The Kundalini is in your center. This chart doesn't have that. But anyway, it's a great place to start. In addition, underneath that, I have the Axia tonal lines. So basically, we talked about the Partakai, these little Partakai units, the smallest units we have, right? Get converted through, they come through your chakra systems, into your Hova bodies, and then to your auric field, which projects the reality in front of you, right? Each one of your fingers and your toes align with these Axia tonal lines. All right. And these lines basically, I'm going to have a fancier presentation on this coming in the next few days, but essentially, every joint, these lines actually flip. And then every other joint, they flip, they flip, they flip. But basically, it correlates on your hands to different chakras. So I have an obsidian ring I wear all the time. An obsidian ring is like a power stone. And essentially, I wear it on my left hand, my first finger. That correlates to my first chakra per the chart here below us, right? So what I'm doing by wearing that obsidian ring on my first chakra is I am strengthening my core chakra, right? Your first chakra is like the root of your system. So I am powering up the root of my system. And because I'm having it on my left hand, your left side is your receiving side. Your right side is your sending side. So by having that on my left hand, on my first finger, which aligns with my first chakra, I am boosting my system. All right. When I meditate, I also have stones. They're right here. These stones, I went out and found them. All right. At these fancy rock crystal stores. And basically, each one of them aligns with a portion of my natal chart. So I pulled my natal chart, and either Western or Vedic is fine. Either is fine. And you align it with your fixed star conjunctions. And then basically that describes the path that you're basically, you have a soul spark, right? And where did that soul spark come from where it came into Earth in this dimension, right? And that pathway is determined by your natal chart. So your fixed star conjunctions are the previous places your soul has stopped and had incarnations. So maybe you want to consider that your past lives or future lives or parallel lives. These are all great terms, right? And so I basically have went out and found stones that align, you can't really see it here, stones that align with each one of my lineage. I hold those stones in specific places on my hand relative to my reflexology chart. All right, it all aligns. It also aligns with the axiatonal lines. All right, it's all connected. All right, we're an energy system. All right, we're not a physical body. The Rockefeller doctors in their fucking bullshit ass white ass robes are gonna lie to you and sell you on some snake oil medicine. That's not medicine, it's poison. All right, it's all oil based when you're going to a hospital. It's oil based bullshit. You don't want any of that in your body. All right, they're telling you wrong. You are energetic primarily, and it casts this hologram into existence here. So when you're meditating, you are working with that core hologram. So understanding your reflexology per our chart here. You're just simply on your hands, understanding how to use stones when you hold them in your hands when you meditate. Understanding you need to hold your ankhs together. These are all really, really, really vital things. We talked about your left hand being your receiving hand, your right hand being your sending hand. Those are really important too. Also, when you have stones, you get them from the rock store, they are not cleansed. You need to cleanse them with that 12D frequency or higher. Really, we live in a 15D time matrix. Dimensions 13 through 15 are non-polarized. Dimension 12 is like right on that border. So it's the highest dimensional energy that's still polarized. It's kind of on the edge. So 12D light is quite non-polarized given everything, but it's still somewhat polarized, right? Um, but it needs to be cleansed with 12D energy or better, is what I would say. Um, in quotes, the stones don't align themselves. You must align the stones, right? Talk to your stones, give them a piece of your soul energy, give them a piece of your love, tell them you love them, you're there for them, you are them, they are you, all right? And then establish that connection with your higher selves. Each one of my stones connects with one of my higher selves. This is my stone that connects me with my Syrian boys, all right? Syrian boys and girls, all right? But either way, I have a stone for each one, and I hold it in a specific point on my hand per my reflexology chart and per my axiatonal lines. These are great things to think of when you are an energetic being going into a meditation to interact with your higher dimensional other selves, your parallel selves, your future selves, your past selves, your higher selves, however you want to coin this. These are all great terms. Um, we talk about the onks. Another way of viewing the onks is so we have a chart here. This is more like traditional stuff. This is not particularly from the Guardians, but it's also another reason why you should hold your onks while you're meditating. So your left hand, per our chart here, is the lamb or lam, I guess. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. And then we also have the right hand, which is your yam. All right, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. Um, grew up in the United States. Don't speak Sanskrit. Um, but essentially, what you're doing by holding both of your hands like this is you're connecting your root chakra with your heart space. So then you are in heart coherence, right? So your heart is like basically a stargate, a soul gate, however you want to think of that. It totally is. If someone tells you wrong on that, good luck to them. We wish them all the best on their path, but it is not the highest and best path, is it? Because your heart is a stargate nonetheless. When you are connecting your root chakra, which is the core of your chakra system, the first chakra, the root, the core of your chakra system, with your heart space, all of a sudden you have filled your field with your heart space. All right. So it's very powerful stuff to simply do this. There are other things you can do with your hands while meditating. I like doing this. It's a great place to start. I also hold the stones in my hands, put them in specific places relative to my reflexology, relative to my axiatonal lines. Please work with this. You can change it too. It doesn't have to be a fixed way, but I typically have a fixed way I do it, and then I will change something up if I want to change it up. That's how I typically go about this. Let's move on here. Crossing your eyes while meditating. Okay, this is, oh my God, this is such an obvious thing, and no one seems to get this right. I've taken a bunch of meditation courses, paid a bunch of money, all these specialists, and none of them have gotten this. It's so fucking obvious. Okay. So basically, when you cross your eyes, so basically I'm gonna just tell you a sequence of things to do with your body. You should try them. All right. It's not gonna hurt you, there's no risk involved. So close your eyes, cross your eyes, and look up, and you're going to hear wind in your ears and you're going to see flickering. Maybe you will see a current moving from left to right, and then a current moving from right to left if your field is balanced and coherent. All right. Essentially, what you are doing when you're crossing your eyes and looking up is pulling in energy from higher realms. All right. And that wind sound, I'm doing it right now. I hear in my ears is a deep sound in my ears. And initially you'll get nauseous and it'll make you dizzy. All right. This is a sign that you're just activating your third eye. I have done this so many times I don't get dizzy anymore. I can push as hard as I want and it will not make me nauseous. All right. You will simply get used to this dizziness. It will go away. But that is your third eye, your pineal gland activating. Your pineal gland is linked to your seventh chakra, your crown chakra. All right. There's a bunch of different chakras that come out of the middle of your head, right? If the center point of your head. But your crown chakra is a one cone that's purple and faces upwards from the middle of your head. It receives energy from higher dimensions. All of them do, but your seventh chakra is notable for this. You can activate your pineal by crossing your eyes, looking up, and hearing the wind in your ears. I would If you want to make a fun joke about it, you can call it making wind, right? A little fart joke here for you. All right. You want to make wind in your meditation, right? So if you're saying a mantra and there's an important word that comes up, you should cross your eyes and look up and hear the wind in your ear. That will pull the higher dimensional energy into your field as you're saying the word. All right. Everything's connected. So when you trigger your pineal gland, you're actually pulling in energy. I'm going to read these slides here. So you may experience flickering in your astral vision when you're making wind, right? This is you pulling in higher dimensional images into your lower dimension. Flickering is fine. It is great. It is excellent. That is a sign that you are activating your light body, right? I often will see a current moving left to right. That is the masculine current. And then I'll often see a current moving from right to left. That is your feminine current. All right. Sometimes it appears to me as elementals. I get a lot of snakes. I'm very connected with the serpent beings. So I will have snakes going from left to right and right to left. Sometimes they will curve and go both ways, and they'll have all sorts of fun with me. They're fun, playful beings. Um, Sometimes they're birds. Sometimes it's all sorts of things in astral vision. That's what we're here talking about today. It's open dialogue here. Um, in 3D and 4D, it's not necessarily the easiest and most readily available thing to see 4D Technicolor in your astral, right? If you're hopping into a meditation, I would not expect to see 4K movie theater screen picture quality in the astral. I have not experienced that. I have a few times, but it's kind of few and far between. That's a very strong experience. Again, every meditation is going to be different. So I would not expect to see 4K Technicolor every single time I meditate. Um, when you are seeing these visions, you can call them in more by essentially crossing your eyes and looking up. That flickering is you tapping into a higher dimensional energy. And you're seeing a flickering because it's so dense here that you're only seeing a flash of what's happening up there because there's massive time and space differentials between those dimensions. Right? So it all lines up. It's all a whole thing. You are part of the whole thing. You can connect to it. It's your fucking birthright. We're here teaching you how to do that today with your astral vision. Okay. You may experience CW is clockwise and CCW is counterclockwise rotation. So clockwise is masculine, counterclockwise right to left is feminine. This aligns with your Maharic seal, right? When we do the Maharic seal, we have a three-sided pyramid spinning. The base one is spinning in a masculine sense, pointing upwards like a phallus. All right. And then you have your feminine one, which is top down, spinning counterclockwise. Those are balanced. That's why your Merkaba is balanced. You're balancing the polarization. And with your Maharic seal, you're pulling in 11D and 12D energy. Those are the two highest currents of the polarized currents. So we're in a 15D time matrix. Dimensions 13 through 14 and 15 are non-polarized. Dimensions 12 and 11 are the first and second highest polarized fields. So by bringing those into your field and balancing them, you're healing all the polarized fields underneath them. That's why your Maharic seal is so powerful. Okay. But anyway, I'm rambling a bit here about the Maharic seal. But anyway, when you're having these astral visions, you will probably initially see some clockwise masculine and counterclockwise feminine rotations in your field. I would seek to balance these. Typically, the feminine one is viewed from your 12th chakra, below your feet, and um, the masculine one is more at eye length. Sometimes it's above your head, sometimes it's just eye length for me. This is your light body activating. All right. And when you activate your Maharic seal, that, basically you're pulling that 12D and 11D energy balance, you're pulling that into your your central pillar, and then you're bringing it down to your 12th chakra. And basically, I view that 12th chakra, it's underneath 6 inches underneath your feet. That is your essentially your light body pad. That's how you travel in the astral on your pad. Okay. So anyway, lots of things here today. I'm going to keep reading these slides. You want an even um, a counterclockwise rotation below your feet at your 12th chakra, and then that needs to be balanced with your clockwise rotation in and around your heart space. So typically, when I see the feminine side, it's typically lower down, and when I'm seeing the masculine side going from left to right, it's typically more at this level. Um, you can move these currents around. You can put one over the other. You can goof around. You can have fun with it. This is all for you to play and learn and enjoy. This is your light body. This is who you are. And just because you've never gone into meditation and done this before does not mean that it's not there. And it's not always been there. It has always been there. That's what you are. You're an energetic being having a physical experience in this wavelength we call the third dimension. That's all it is. Okay, I'm going to continue on here. When working with symbols, um, source aligned symbols are literal physical geometry of the realm you are tapping into the energy field of. So if you are gazing at, so the symbols behind me are the high Vecca codes. All right. When you're tapping into these high Vecca codes, they're actually like this is why I deal with the Guardians material and not other material, because the Guardians don't deal in separation. They're from dimensions 13 through 15. And some of them are in dimension 12, yes, but notably dimensions 13 through 15 where there's no polarization. Okay. These codes, these high Vecca codes behind me, um, notably the Akasha symbol, which is the whole source code, which is, let's see, it is, there we are. There we are. It's the one in the bottom. It's the teardrop one. And these symbols are mathematical geometry codes, right? So, in quotes, if you are gazing at the symbol code while meditating, you can softly cross your eyes and see the double of the image with open eyes. And essentially, you're going to be pulling that into your field by doing that. All right. In addition, if you are meditating with closed eyes, you can visualize the symbol and you can cross your eyes and look up, hear the wind in your ears. All right. And seeing your flickering visuals. This is your pineal gland activating, triggering when you're seeing that flashing, when you're hearing that wind, when you're having enhanced visuals. And when you want to use a symbol code, you visualize that symbol code, cross your eyes, and look up at it. All right. And you hear the wind in your ear, and you are pulling energy through that symbol code into you. That's why I am very, very stringent about your source alignment, because you don't want to be pulling in bullshit into your field. You want to be pulling in source aligned codes, law of one aligned codes. Law of one is the highest and best timeline for all. All right. These are very, very, very important things to get right when you're in your meditation, because you're pulling that energy into your field. That's why we deal with the guardians from non-polarized realms. Okay. In addition, you can also tap on on your forehead. Look, you don't want to smack yourself in the head too hard, but tapping on your forehead 20 to 25 times will trigger your pineal gland. So before meditation, tap on your forehead a bunch of times. That's also helpful. It can physically trigger it. All right. That's helpful. When I meditate, I have my big, beautiful lapis lazuli ankh, right? You can see it here. I got it, I think, off Etsy. Rip. Uh, anyway, um, everyone makes fun of Etsy. Um, but I put this on my pineal gland, right? The lapis lazuli, however you pronounce it, is for a connection to higher realms, and it's also for clarity in higher realms, clarity and discernment in higher realms. So I put that bitch right on my fucking forehead. I lay down when I meditate. I have a flat back, and yeah, I mean, this stone has a frequency to it, and I'm putting that frequency on my fucking pineal, right? How does that not help? If you want to use like a rose quartz or a quartz is really cleansing. You could use that too. Um, an amethyst is also really cleansing. You could put that on your hand. You could put that on your forehead. I have a shitload of jewelry. All right. Why do I wear so much copper? This is the eternal lotus of life, the same one on either side here. 12D energy in, 12D energy out. It's not a soul siphon like these Metatronic Flower of Life bullshit logos. I put this on my chest when I meditate. I also have these tensor rings. All right. Copper, essentially, if you put copper rings around a pipe, it increases the circulation of a pipe. Well, you have blood vessels all throughout your body. Those blood vessels are energetic. The outside of the capillary is one polarization, and the inside is another polarization. So, right, positive and negative. So when you wear copper, especially on your left wrist, it increases the circulation throughout your entire body. So by putting these tensor rings on my chest while I meditate, I'm increasing the circulation of blood flow through my body, which increases the energetics of my system, which will result in a better meditation. So I have my emerald here, my tensor rings, and then I have this one here. I put this on my chest, and then I put this one on my eye, and then these are my mala beads. These are lapis lazuli as well. I really like the lapis lazuli vibe. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna move on here, but these are all really good tips. I'm kind of rambling in this one today because I have so many tips. And that's how it's gonna be. Thanks for tuning in. Um, What I like to call pineal gland push-ups are when you cross your eyes and you're sun gazing, right? So what I like to do is I like to go out in the sun. I like to take my shoes and socks off. You can have socks on too, especially if your socks are 100% cotton. It's not a big deal. Or linen. Linen is good too. But really, you should be bare feet on the ground. I also have grounding shoes. I bought some special grounding shoes. Um, you want to make sure they're actual grounding shoes. The rubber sole in your shoe will actually um, remove the energetic connection from the earth to your body. So that's why you want to have bare feet. But anyway, the notion here, I call these pineal gland push-ups. So basically, you go out in nature, you stand with your bare feet on the grass, and then you're going to look at the sun, and you're going to cross your eyes, and then you're going to see two suns, right? The sun is when you look at your Templar grid, it is the fourth node on our Templar grid, right? Everyone's seen the 12 node Templar grid. Each one of those is a Stargate. The fourth node in that is called Sol, SOL, and it is the sun you're looking at in the sky. Okay. So essentially, by looking at the sun, you're looking into the fucking Stargate. It's extremely powerful. All right. And when you cross your eyes, what are you doing? You're bringing higher dimensional energy into your field, right? So look at the sun, cross your eyes, hear the wind in your ears, and you are bringing that energy right from the fucking Stargate itself right into your system. Okay. I recommend doing this in the morning and at night starting off. The sun is less intense. I mean, really, I'm used to it at this point. I can look at the sun at high noon and cross my eyes. I mean, I can't hold it for 5 minutes like that at high noon. It's really intense. But basically, the notion is when you're crossing your eyes, um, the sunlight is actually absorbed through the whites of your eyes, not the iris being the colored part. You can actually burn your iris, which is the colored part of your eye. So the white of your eyes, that's how you absorb the sunlight. So basically, if you want to look at the sun, cross your eyes and then look away slightly, that's how you're getting the most sun in your eye. And the sun, Sol, is the fourth node on our Templar Stargate. So you're looking right into the fucking Stargate and you're getting the fucking codes downloaded right into you. I cannot think of a better way to help your soul evolution on a daily basis. I cannot think of one. Or perhaps the Mohawk seal is one, right? So I'm going to keep reading the slide here. Crossing your eyes, you should see double and you should hear wind in your ears. I typically hear wind in my ears more when I have closed eyes. You can do it with closed eyes. You can do it with open eyes. It's still beneficial. You're still getting that sun. I mean, look, the sun passes through your eyelids. All right. Hate to break it to you. You can see flickering. This is pulling energy into your field. Doing this while sun gazing is pulling higher dimensional currents into our field from our local soul, right? Which is our fourth node on the Templar grid. So the flow of natural organic source through our system is through the Templar grid. And so by just looking at the sun, you got everything you need, man. I mean, you should see two suns. I would hold this position as long as you can. What I like to do is I like to go out and I like to smoke a cigarette and I like to hold my eyes in cross-eye vision so I see two suns and I smoke the whole damn cigarette down, the whole fucking thing. And it's like what, 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes to smoke a cigarette, and I will just smoke that cigarette and I will look at the sun and I will just hold it the whole time. Do that for a week and your astral vision will ramp up. It will be different for you. Your clear audience will ramp up. Your downloads will ramp up. Your connection to your higher selves will ramp up. All these skills will ramp up when you take in higher dimensional energy into your field. And I cannot think of a better way of doing it than these pineal gland push-ups. Perhaps I'm a heart seal. Perhaps I'm a heart seal. Do that as well. Um, when you are doing your mantras, you want to flex your pineal gland, aka your pineal push-ups, right, for important words, right? So let's say you're using my clearing mantra, right? On all the words you think that are important, flex. I mean, you have your eyes closed already. You're looking up and crossing your eyes. As soon as you look up and cross your eyes, you hear the wind in your ears. All right. Do that for all the important words. And then once you get to a point where you're comfortable doing it for all the important words, try doing it for all the words. And then better yet, try doing it for the entire meditation. Initially, you're going to get tired and it's going to like tire you out. After some practice, you'll be able to hold that cross-eye vision for the entire fucking meditation. Then you are pulling in hella energy into your field. Hella, hella, hella energy. All right. So starting off, you want to do it intermittently. You want to do it when you're looking at, I'm just doing it right now, when you're looking at a symbol code, right, to pull the energy in. But over time, when you're doing a meditation, I mean, really, you want to have your eyes crossed and looking up the entire fucking time. All right. And that would be your meditative focus. You can think of it like that. Um, so interview, when meditating, you can sharpen your astral vision with more energy with your pineal gland throttle with your pineal push-ups. All right. Fasting helps you have a clear system. All right. Meditation is always better on an empty stomach. If you're starving, if you're like too hungry, it's going to be a distraction. So maybe eat some food. I have also done meditations that were extremely awesome and completely fulfilling and everything. Tons of astral vision after I ate a huge fucking meal. All right. So food is not going to ruin your meditation, but fasting will give you better results. We're also in a period where we're taking on a lot of higher dimensional energies. I have had periods where I didn't want to eat for days in a row. I've had periods where my appetite tripled in a week and I couldn't explain it. So do whatever is best for you. But fasting will help you with this. Also, being hydrated. Various toxin removers. So toxins can block energy flow. So if you are using, let's just start here. Uh, Activated charcoal, zeolite, glutathione. These are all really great substances to pull toxins from your body. There's toxins in the water you drink. There's toxins in the food you eat. I guarantee it. Everything has toxins in it. You need to remove these regularly. You need to be taking activated charcoal. My toothpaste is activated charcoal, so I do it every day. I take zeolite. It's not that expensive. Get a little dropper. Glutathione is a pill. It filters everything out, including the smart dust, including the nanotech that they put in the food and the water and the air, including what is it called? The graphene, the graphite, whatever the hell. 5G conspiracy, all that bullshit. That shit gets filtered out with glutathione. Really, really powerful stuff there. Take glutathione often, at least once a week, is what I would say. I take it once a week. I used to take it every day. I now have so many pills I need to take that I do it once a week. All right. Colloidal metals. So colloidal metals, essentially colloidal metals, let me explain what they are. So it's water with very, very, very small doses of metal. All right, so they have colloidal gold, colloidal silver, there's colloidal silica. There's, I basically bought a bottle that has like 40 different colloidals in it. All right, it wasn't that expensive on Amazon. Um, Basically, your body requires these are trace minerals, and your body requires them. Without having these, you're not going to be in full homeostasis. You're not going to be in your full highest and best capacity. So when you're going into your meditation, it's going to be harder for you to get that peak meditation. So colloidal metals will ramp up your meditative experience. Um, Also, I wouldn't take, I wouldn't like chug colloidal metals like you're like chugging a beer. I wouldn't do that. But many times these bottles have very, very low doses. I took typically 3 to 5 times the dose that was written on the bottle, and I had excellent effects. I also calculated that I had to take 3 million times the dose to actually kill myself with colloidals. So colloidals are not very toxic. I wouldn't worry about taking a high dose of them at all. Especially if you're really trying to awaken that third eye. I mean, I would just pour myself a shot glass of my colloidal metals material It was a bottle from Amazon, colloidal minerals, and there were like 30 or 40 different ones in there. And I'd pour myself a shot glass. That would be like 3 times a daily dose. I would do that 2, 3 times a day. No issues, no side effects. I actually felt much, 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 much better. Don't poison yourself with them. I'm not telling you to poison yourself with colloidals. Don't do that. But sometimes these dosages are very, very, very small on the bottle. When you're taking herbs, you can take high doses and it's not a big deal. All right, these are not drugs, these are herbs. At worst case, they will make your stomach a little upset. Take them with food. Who cares? So I also have various third eye strengtheners, pineal gland strengtheners. So your pineal is often clogged or calcified. Um, these will help you strengthen your muscle, your pineal gland muscle, and remove these calcifications. So the biggest thing here is no fluoride toothpaste. You need to find a natural alternative. Okay, fluoride clogs your pineal and it is very, very poisonous for your pineal. It doesn't mean your pineal is broken and will never work again. It means it's atrophied. And you need to stop using that fluoride toothpaste immediately and get on some other toothpaste. I went to Sprouts, I got activated charcoal toothpaste, and then they also had tea tree extract and neem oil. Um, toothpaste as well. Those have been great. I did some research with Barbara O'Neill. She is a health expert. I bought a bunch of her books and I went through and I looked up all her remedies, and the active ingredients in it are tea tree oil and neem oil. And there's also activated charcoal. And she has these remedies to make toothpaste yourself and all this bullshit. I would just buy one. All right. It's not that hard to do. Um, in terms of water, the water you drink from the tap is poisonous. Full stop. So when you have purified water from your city, they purify that water using chemicals. So those chemicals actually leave a residue in the water. In addition, they put fluoride into the water. Fluoride clogs your pineal, which prevents you from your astral vision, which is what we're trying to get here. Okay, so drinking tap water will literally fuck you. You need to buy a reverse osmosis machine. Mine's right over there. It costs $350. I bought it from Home Depot. There's tons of different brands, and basically, it's kind of like a filter. It's not like a you don't need to buy replacement filters for it or anything. It's like a machine, and you put the water in it, you fill it up, and it's like a water cooler. But then when you go to empty it, you actually have to pour out the water and then refill it. That it's the only system where you pour out the water. It has wastewater. The other filters are not effective because there's no wastewater, right? So reverse osmosis is you taking your water and you're purifying it 100%. It is 100% purified. It is pure water. There's no minerals of any kind. There's nothing in the water when you reverse osmosis it. Okay, that's the water you want to be drinking. You also require minerals. So what you basically do is you buy Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt is the most highly mineralized salt you can get. From my understanding, it has from my gnosis, it has what 80, I think it's 82 plus minerals in it. And essentially, I buy it on Amazon. It's like $6 for a giant fucking bag. If you go to your grocery store, it's going to be like $20 for the smallest container. It's really expensive because it's the best salt you can get. It's very cheap on Amazon. You need to be drinking reverse osmosis water with Celtic sea salt, or you are poisoning yourself. Full stop. Dasani water, poisonous. What other brands of water are there? I don't. Deer Park, poisonous. What Oak Valley or whatever brand of water you're getting from the corner store, poisonous, poisonous, poisonous. They purified it with chemicals. That chemicals leave residue. You don't want to consume that residue because then you have to filter that out with your activated charcoal, your zeolite, your glutathione, and your colloidals will help with that, right? But basically, you're making more work for yourself by consuming impure water. So unless you're drinking reverse osmosis water, you're fucking yourself. Real easy. So no tap water. If and purified water is bullshit, man. They purify it with chemicals. Distilled water, they boil it, and that is good, but it is still not reverse osmosis. So you should not drink it. Spring water, same thing. It's all bullshit. It's purified with chemicals, not clean whatsoever. If you are out and you can't get access to reverse osmosis water, coconut water is the go-to. Coconut water contains water in it, and it is not purified. It comes from the coconut. They didn't purify the coconut water with chemicals. It's just coconut water. It's 100% coconut water. Sometimes they put a little bit of sugar in it. Okay. So you can buy the organic one with no sugar. I like a little bit of sugar, and it's natural sugar. So good. Good riddance. Who cares? In addition, iodine strengthens your third eye. I take iodine capsules. Fermented skate liver oil also strengthens your pineal. Methylene blue is a non-natural substance. It is actually used to dye. If you're doing using a microscope, you dye the slides with methylene blue. If you're ever in a science lab in college or something, you use methylene blue all the time. Methylene blue is actually safe for consumption. It's not going to say that on the bottle, but it's very safe for consumption. I have been taking it for a while. Essentially, you put a few drops in your drink, maybe start with 1 to 2, build up to 5, maybe even 10. I mean, I wouldn't be drinking it like, I mean, you don't want to necessarily be drinking out of the bottle, but 5 to 10 drops is a great dose. And basically, the first time you take it, it makes your vision different. Like you will, it's almost like you're crossing your eyes and looking up while you're seeing normally when you take methylene blue. It kind of triggers your pineal in a weird way. I don't know how to put a finger on it, but it is triggering to your pineal and it is highly effective for enhancing your astral vision. I love it. I love it. I love it. They're very, very cheap. You can buy a bottle that will last you a very long time for like a $2 or whatever. And it's going to say not for human consumption on it. Don't worry about it. All right. Also, legal and medical advice. This is not legal advice. It's not medical advice. Consult your physician, whatever the fuck. All the same, take methylene blue if you feel called to do it. Um, Something that's very important is a parasite cleanse. So every time you eat meat, meat has parasites. Parasites are actually ET beings. All right. We're in the Earth School of Earth 606 here. We're in the Earth School of 60 Earth. We're in the school of the Ascension School of Earth 606 here. There are all sorts of different ET beings, right? No one is actually from Earth, right? So all the different types of bacteria, plants, animals, they're all actually ETs in certain senses, right? Notably parasites. So when you have these little parasites inside you, right, you get them from eating meat, you get them from eating all sorts of things, notably meat. And essentially, if you are not doing a parasite cleanse, at least like once a week, I do one once a week. I mean, you could do it 3 or 4 times a week and there's no issue. I used to do it daily. Daily is probably too much. But essentially, you want to be doing these parasite cleanses because these parasites basically will kind of whisper telepathic messages into you. They also can bite down when you get a sugar craving. That is the parasites biting into your intestines because essentially you have eaten fake sugar and then your body creates these parasites, right? You get some of them from the meat, yes, and then your body allows them to be created in you, allows them to grow in you to eat up the toxins you're eating. So when you're eating, Coca-Cola with high fructose corn syrup, that high fructose corn syrup is not real sugar. That's toxic. It's 100% toxic to your system. So when you drink your soda, your body can't process that. So it has parasites eat that. And then basically, when you go 6 hours without any fake sugar, then when you get a sugar craving, that is the parasites being like, "Oh my God, I'm hungry. I'm hungry." Now you have all these parasites in your body, and they're hungry and they want to eat. They want that toxin that they were made to consume to protect you. So they're going to bite into your intestine. All right. And then basically, that's how you get your sugar craving. So to get rid of that whole process, which is a clusterfuck, you don't want any of that. That's why when you see obese people, they have a parasite farm in them. When you overeat, you don't grow a second stomach. All right. You accumulate toxins on you because you can't pass those toxins through. You need to be doing parasite cleanses and you need to be fasting to get rid of that weight. Right? When you have someone who's obese, they have many, 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 many more parasites than a skinny person does. So when you got an obese person having all these food cravings, that's not necessarily them having the food cravings. That's the parasites inside of them, these ET beings that you got from your food and are saving your life because you're consuming toxins that you can't actually consume because our food is so fucked. Those parasites are biting into them, into their intestines, and making them have that sugar craving. All right, those parasites prevent you from your higher dimensional connection. They prevent you from getting your astral vision. All right. So the three substances you need for a parasite cleanse are wormwood, black walnut, and cloves. You need all three, and you need to take them at once. When you take these three together, they kill the adult, middle age, and young parasites. If you kill only one of three of those groups or two of three of those groups, they will simply grow back. You need to kill them. You need to wipe them all out. And then I basically do this once a week. And it's not even I mean I eat meat. I have a blood type. I'm O positive. So O is for omnivore, right? So I like to eat meat. Um, I have been vegetarian and vegan for a while, but either way, you need to be, I'm perfectly fine with eating meat and doing a parasite cleanse. I don't think it's a big deal. Um, yeah. So again, reverse osmosis water, Celtic sea salt is your liquid IV. You can pair that with coconut water. Coconut water is so hydrating. Best way to hydrate, bar none. Get off that fluoride toothpaste. And then iodine, fermented skate oil, methylene blue, activated charcoal, zeolite, glutathione, and colloidal metals are helpful. Okay, let's move on. So when you are going in, so basically, let me preface this. When you're doing a meditation, these can all be done sober, and I highly recommend doing them sober. Okay. There's no substitute for just doing it sober. All right. Also, everything you consume, including air, including food, including water, is a substance. So people think substances are drugs. No, they are not. Substances are substances. Food is a substance. The water you drink is a substance. When you chose to drink that tap water that's purified with those fucking chemicals that has chemical residue in it and fluoride in it, you are choosing to consume a substance called fluoride and to poison your pineal gland. All right? You don't have to do that. It's a substance though, nonetheless. So when people talk about drugs as drugs are bad, don't do drugs, kids. Yeah, I mean, don't smoke meth, man. Don't smoke crack. Don't do that. Don't become addicted to drugs and kill yourself and ruin your kidneys. Don't do that. No one's saying to do that. Don't use illegal substances, right? This is not legal advice. This is not medical advice, whatever. But all the same, everything you consume is a substance. All right, keep that in mind. That's my preface. So when we are using substances in a meditative sense, we are referring to entheogens or psychedelics. All right, entheogen is another fancy word for psychedelics. These are mind-bending substances, right? They change basically, let's say you have like a fancy a fancy board with all these knobs on it, and the system is going according to these knobs. If you were to turn one of these knobs a little bit, or maybe you have a guitar and you have a bunch of knobs on your guitar and you strum it. When you turn one of those knobs, it changes the tone. All right. Psychedelics are just like that. They change one of the inputs, they change one of the outputs, they change one of the oscillations in your tone, right? Calling yourself a guitar, right? So psychedelics are the act of essentially changing your equilibrium ever so slightly to put you in a different realm. And essentially, it's a sacred journey. Indigenous tribes have been using psychedelics for thousands and thousands of years. Even substances like cannabis, they've been using that at sacred ceremonies for thousands of years. Substances like um, peyote and mushrooms and essentially DMT is a chemical that makes you dream. You create it in your body. That's also in crabgrass. It's also in half the fucking there's thousands of different animals that you can extract DMT from, right? There's I think thousands of different plants you can extract DMT from. So psychedelics are everywhere. They occur naturally. These are natural substances. Don't let any, MADD, your mom's daring you not to do drugs. Fuck that shit. Don't do drugs irresponsibly. Don't drive if you're under the influence of any substance. Do not crash your car under substances, right? Don't do anything irresponsible, obviously. But all the same, when you drink water, it is a substance. When you take an entheogen, a psychedelic, to go into a mind altered state for your meditation, that is your birthright. All right. Who is any government official to tell you how to think, how to feel? Altering your mind with a substance is perfectly within your birthright. It is your birthright. All right. And that's why you get to meet with your ancestors. That's why you get to meet with your higher selves when you do it. So let's continue on here. So if you want more information on, in quotes, tripping, right? Psychedelics, Terence McKenna is your one-stop shop. He is the master of all these types of things. When I was 17, I spent, I don't know, 2 years listening to only Terence McKenna videos on repeat. And he has hundreds and hundreds of videos. They're all over YouTube. He will answer all of your questions about tripping. All right. He's done them all. He'll talk to you about the machine elves, and he's a fun guy. But what he talks about the most are set and setting. So when you're using substances, even just meditating in general, this is important too. But especially when you're using substances, set and setting are vital. So set is your mindset, aka, are you prepared to learn a lesson or do shadow work or grow spiritually? Are you prepared to change your perception and be in a new realm and learn a lesson? Because you're always going to learn a lesson. All right. Part of that mindset is removing expectations. All right. If you want to go in with an intention, that's great. But having an expectation, it can create filters on your perception, right? So your consciousness is the point of perception. It's a point of cognizance, right? And if you're like, I'm expecting to do this in my meditation, I'm expecting to see this elemental, I want to meet with this being. Maybe you'll meet with that being if you call it, yes. But if you have an expectation that they should look just like this, or they should appear at just this moment when I say these words, it might not happen. And by you having that expectation, you're putting a block for it to actually occur. So it's very circular logic, yes. But you want to remove all expectations, even if you have an intention. Um, if you're suicidal, all right, do not take psychedelics. Don't do it. Full stop, no go, no go. That is the one thing I would ask people. Hey, are you suicidal? Don't if they say yes or they give you like a wishy-washy answer, you need to tell them they need to go fucking meditate sober. They need to release all their fucking trauma and then get ready for their trip. And when they're ready to take the trip, they can take the trip. But if you are suicidal going into that trip, that is going to amplify that energy. And that is how you have a bad trip. Okay. And if you're suicidal, there are typically psychedelics are not lethal. Um, there are some like fake, non-natural psychedelics you can die from, um, but they're typically not lethal. So that you really can't die on psychedelics. So the only way people do die on psychedelics is from suicide. So you are, taking mind bending substances, and it's going to change your reference point. If you are not ready for that and you are suicidal, you definitely, definitely, definitely do not engage in taking psychedelics. Um, that being said, sometimes when you don't want to trip is when you need the trip the most. When you are anxious about the trip, you're like, man, I know I have the shadow work to do. It's been bugging me. There's like an implant in my field. I feel a certain way and I don't like this feeling. I want to fix this and I don't know how. That is a great sign you need to go take some goddamn mushrooms and go to the fucking park. Spend some time in fucking nature. And obviously not medical advice, not legal advice, all that. All right. But sometimes when you think you don't want to trip the most is when you need to trip the most. Shadow work is tough work. All right. It's tough. You're confronting your fears and you're doing so on a substance that is mind bending, mind altering. It's tough work, but ultimately it needs to be done. So if you are anxious about the trip, maybe you need that trip. Maybe you should set some intentions, some goals for yourself. Hey, I want to confront this fear. I want to learn from this. I have an intention of speaking to my higher self and asking him about or her about these three or four different things. And maybe I can work on these. And maybe you take some notes or whatever, right? Be good to yourself. Don't be afraid to learn and grow spiritually. All right, obviously. Okay, so that was setting. Or I'm sorry, that was set. So that's your mindset. The second portion of this is setting. Where are you when you're experiencing your journey? So when you take that entheogen, that psychedelic, you are going to be altering your perception. So obviously, never operate a vehicle. Never, never, never. Like the whole trip. You can't drive while you're tripping. Full stop. You can't do it. Plan your day to where you're not driving. It's not that difficult at all. You should go in the park. You should have all the supplies you need. You should be in nature. You should have your shoes off. You should be able to look at the sun. Ideally, the sun is out and it's not a cloudy day and it's not raining on you or something. But nature is where you belong. You want to have your feet on the grass. You want to have access to the sun, that fourth dimensional stargate. You want to be able to peer into it and pull in that fourth dimensional energy, no problem. And higher dimensional energy flows through that gate too. So it's not just fourth dimensional energy, it's all these dimensions that are flowing through that gate. Um, if you're indoors, energy can actually accumulate, especially if you have corners in your room. You actually would want to have rounded instead of corners. You want to have a rounded surface that would be more energetic, yes. But being outdoor fixes this. Being outdoors fixes this entirely. So energy can get stuck indoors. If you have a vibe, maybe you're like tripping and it's a weird vibe, go to a different room. Go outside. No one's telling you you have to be in this room, or cleanse the energy in the room with some sage or some frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense and myrrh are really great for that. Um, Continuing on psychedelics, if you want to come down or stop visuals, you want to trigger your GABA receptors. All right. The simplest way to do that is to have a beer, to have a shot, to have some ethanol alcohol. Um, so alcohol, generic booze. Um, Basically, this will stop your visuals. Ethanol alcohol actually lowers your, um, so whatever dimension you're vibrating at, right? It actually lowers that. That's why getting drunk is actually like you're like calling in demons to your field. Yeah, if you drink too much, you will lower your oscillation so much to where you're in like you'll go from like because basically every second, every millisecond, every fraction of every millisecond, you are actually flashing through time, projecting a hologram. So you're technically not you're in 3D physically, yes. You're seeing in 3D with your eyes, yes. But you're actually in all 12 dimensions at once. All right. So when you're drinking alcohol, you're actually lowering that oscillation rate, lowering the spin rate of your light body, right? So if you're tripping, you're raising your oscillation to a higher dimensional energy. And if you're drinking alcohol, you're bringing it down. So if you are tripping too hard and you want to come down a little bit, you can have a beer. All right. It stops the visuals. If you drink too much, you will get so fucked up. So fucked up. So like if maybe you took a substance, shrooms or something, and you want to kind of mellow out your trip and come down, maybe drink a beer. Maybe drink it slowly. Don't take 6 shots. Don't take 10 shots. You will be so fucked up. You will not be able to walk. You will be many, many, many times. You will be exponentially fucked up. Um, it is an exponential scale when you are mixing substances. It is not linear at all. If you are taking two psychedelics, if you are doing cannabis and mushrooms, those are exponential together. All right. And then let's say you're trying to come down and you have a beer. All three of those are going to be exponential in your system. So like you will not be able to drive home. No chance. No chance. Do not try and drive. Okay. Safety is of the utmost importance when you're doing this. You just plan ahead and it's very easy. A herbal alternative to ethanol alcohol is valerian root tea. Valerian root hits your GABA receptors, just like ethanol alcohol hits your GABA receptors in your brain. So does benzodiazepines and barbiturates, which are pharmaceutical grade downers, they call them, right? Or anti-anxiety medication, or antipsychotics, sometimes they're called. But these all affect your GABA receptors. So it's in quotes taking a Xanax. Ethanol alcohol, valerian root tea, Xanax, temazepam or whatever, Valium or whatever. These all hit your GABA receptors. All right. So if you're tripping too hard and you want to come down, that will stop your visuals. It will also make you a lot more fucked up, typically tired, typically stumbly. So if you're like, oh, I'm trying to go home, let me have a beer and go home after I've tripped on shrooms all day, you're going to be exponentially more fucked up after that beer. Keep that in mind. Let's move on. Okay. Substances can supplement meditation experiences or spirit walks or shadow work. All right. Pharmaceuticals are really, really not what you want to be engaging with. Most of them are oil based. Not all of them, but most of them are oil based, especially when you go to the hospital. All this shit is extracted from oil to some certain degree. Hydrocarbons, nonetheless. These are all toxic. You don't need to consume any hydrocarbons. You don't drink gasoline from the fucking gas tank. Why the fuck are you taking oil-based medication? Advil, for example, you want to avoid it at all costs. It actually slows down your healing. That's how you relieve the pain. It slows down your healing complex. It's also terrible for your liver, if I'm not mistaken. It might be your kidney. I think it's your kidneys. Either way, it is toxic to your kidneys. It is toxic to your body. Do not take Advil. Um, this is an example of treating the body with this bullshit Rockefeller medicine, where they're like, oh, you have a body. We're going to treat the body. No, you are energetic first. You are energetic. And then you have a, in quotes, physical manifestation because your particles are vibrating in this third density spectrum. You don't really have a body. You have particles that are connected via source energy via your soul, right? So treating the body is never a way to solve anything. So you don't take 2 Tylenol when you have a headache. All right. What you do is you go meditate. All right. Or better yet, if you want to take a substance, that's where I'm leading into. For pain, I recommend kratom or kratom, if you will. Kratom. So it is a natural leaf. All right. It has been like, you know how like you like dip tobacco? It has been dipped or put in basically they take the leaf and they put it in their gums for thousands of years in Malaysia and East Asia. I haven't been there. I'm not an expert on any of that, but they have been using that for thousands of years there. This substance is It gives you an opiate-like effect, but it is actually not an opiate. It is not a narcotic. The doctor also always talks about narcotics. Some people are allergic to narcotics. It is not a narcotic, but it hits the same receptors in your brain as narcotics. All right. Um, for this reason, it is a plant and is natural. You cannot overdose. Right? We have everyone overdosing on fentanyl. All right. If you're on fentanyl, great way to come off is taking kratom. You're on pain pills and you want to come off, take kratom. You have a headache, take kratom. You have pain, take kratom. Okay. Um, I will say this, there are some mild downsides. It does cause constipation, especially if you're using it daily, just like every other opiate does. Um, it is somewhat addictive, just like every other opiate. But let me tell you, it is probably 1/500th as addictive as hydrocodone. Maybe 1/5000th as addictive as hydrocodone or hydrocodone, which is like your most generic narcotic. Um, if you consume too much kratom, you will throw up. So it has kind of a safety mechanism. Um, um, the leaf itself smells fucking awful. So I recommend that you take the capsules. The capsules aren't a big deal. You take the capsule and it's no big deal. All right. Um, it's available legally in the United States and around the world. You can get it at gas stations, smoke shops. It is not particularly expensive. I prefer the capsules. The leaf is not water soluble. So if you get the loose leaf and you pour it into a cup of water, it will sit on the top of the water like sand. It'll be dry. It'll be in the water and dry. It is like really fucking weird. But it is literally, excuse me, it's literally not water soluble. It is very hard to drink it. So I recommend the capsules. If you are trying to drink it, what you can do is put it in a highly acidic substance like orange juice and put it in a blender. But really, at that point, you should just take the capsules. Um, they do have liquid extracts I've seen at the gas stations and stuff. These are really effective, but they hit you a lot faster, a lot harder, and a lot stronger. And they come off a lot quicker. Typically, these little bottles, they're these little glass bottles. I mean, I'll typically take half and they'll be very, very strong, very sedative. Um, you can also potentiate the effects of kratom with Benadryl or any antihistamine. So when I say potentiate, it's actually going to slow down the effect and it like pairs with it. So you're getting some of this antihistamine effect, this Benadryl effect, and then you're also getting some of the kratom effect. If you were to take I'm pretty sensitive to Benadryl personally. Like if I take like half a Benadryl, I go to sleep. Some people can take two or three and it's not a big deal. But basically, if you were to take like for me, when I take half a Benadryl and some kratom, I am I am on the floor, knocked out. It is very strong. It is a very strong experience for me. Very, very strong experience. You typically get like a nodding feeling, like you're nodding off. If you want to kick in that nodding experience, take some Benadryl. Or I've used other antihistamines as well. Not as much Claritin, more like Benadryl or there's a few others, but similar substances to Benadryl will do that task for you. Let's move on. Natural substances. Um, Connecting with higher dimensional essence. So when you're using natural substances, you're connecting with a higher dimensional essence of a natural living substance that you are smoking or imbibing. So beware, right? So when you are smoking pot, right, that pot plant was grown, it was alive, right? You picked it and then you smoked it, right? So then you are connecting with the higher dimensional aspect of cannabis, of Mary Jane. You're meeting Mary Jane's higher dimensional aspect, if you will, right? So beware, right? It's you know these are these are higher dimensional beings, and they will play around with you. You will always learn your lesson, and if you show up to do your shadow work and you learn your lesson with humbleness and gratitude and compassion, it's going to be a great trip. If you try and push your will on the weed or on the acid or on the whatever substance, all right, I'm not encouraging any taking any substance, not legal, not medical advice, all that. Um, you're gonna learn your lesson either way. It's gonna win. You will never win when you are facing down an entheogen or a psychedelic. The psychedelic will always win. Perception always wins. Okay, let's go through these lists. So, weed or cannabis is legal in most states. Here's the issue with weed. It is very, 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 very GMO. And what I mean by that, it is not your grandfather's weed, right? So basically, you have a very natural substance, and then it's been hybridized. We want to maximize the THC content. We want to make it look really pretty. We want only pretty strains. So when you go to the weed shop, a lot of times you're seeing these really, really gorgeous looking buds. They're spectacular. I mean, it looks like an art exhibit when you're looking at these nugs, right? That's not quite organic. All right. You can go buy, if you can go to the weed shop. I'm in Michigan. I went to the local weed shop and I asked them, do you have anything organic? And mostly they do. Most shops will carry an organic line. I would recommend the organic stuff or nothing else. Okay. It's not a big deal if you smoke some weed. Just understand it's very GMO, it's very hybridized, and it's typically very, very strong nowadays. It's not your grandfather's weed. You will um, meet Mary Jane and the higher dimensional aspect of Mary Jane or substance you're taking. Um, look, these higher dimensional, these are earth elementals essentially, because it was grown on Earth. You're meeting an earth elemental. The elementals will fuck with you. But if you're willing to learn a lesson, if you're willing to accept some higher dimensional guidance from Gaia herself on behalf of these earth elementals, via these earth elementals, maybe one of the earth elementals is speaking to you via cannabis, great. You're going to have a great time. But if you think you're going to push the elemental around and win, you're out of your damn mind. You will always learn your lesson. Hopefully, you learn easily and fully in alignment with the law of one. Okay, let's move on to mushrooms. Mushrooms are stronger than weed. So I would, I'm not sure I'd want to take mushrooms every day. You can like microdose, and that has been effective. Taking a light dose every day is cool. I kind of prefer a large, taking 2 or 3 grams, uh, and kind of making a trip out of it. Um, I'd call that ritual use, spiritual ritual use. What you have to remember about mushrooms are each cap, each stem, even if you get a product, um, each piece of that mushroom has a variable amount of psilocybin in it. And that psilocybin goes in your stomach, digests into psilocin, and then that's you actually get high in the psilocin, right? So each cap or piece varies in strength. So the dosage is going to be highly variable. You can have two different stems. They can look the same size, same weight, whatever, and one can be very strong, one can be very weak, even if it's the same weight. So just be highly, you know, 1 3 grams of shrooms is not the same as another 3 grams of shrooms ever, 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 ever. Even if you're buying an extract product, it's still, I mean, you can buy one chunk and it's going to hit you a certain way, and another chunk's going to hit you a certain way. There's a ton of strains of these mushrooms that are psychedelic, and they all work. They're all very effective. I would not worry about the strain at all. Some of them have, just like weed has strains, mushrooms have strains. I wouldn't worry about it. It's all going to work for you. Obviously, don't eat a poisonous one, right? Um, you will meet the higher dimensional aspect of shrooms. For me, this visualized as like a pink blob of like it was like a pink energy, like a it was like a it was like a like in the realm of like fungus. There was like a pink blob of like energy vortex that I saw. I've seen it a number of different times on trips. Um, Often the lessons you learn on shrooms are much, 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 much stronger than cannabis. I have found that shrooms are very earthy. I have found that they put me in my place like a motherfucker, and I learned my lesson. I have a tattoo here, 3.5. I took a very memorable 3.5 of shrooms when I was going through a very, very hard period, and I committed myself to a life of basically, I didn't really know the term back then, but it was essentially committed myself to the law of one on that trip. And so I got a tattoo in remembrance of it. And yeah, I mean, very, very strong stuff. I also, it's not on the slides here, but I also did want to mention that if you are taking shrooms and you want a shorter, faster experience, grind the shrooms up in a grinder, make it as powdered as possible, and then put it into lemon juice for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and then basically you take it as a shot, and the shrooms essentially will hit you about twice as fast. So instead of it being like a 4 to 6 hour experience, it will be like a 2 to 4 hour experience and twice as strong. I've had a lot of fun with that. Sometimes 6 hours is a long time to be in the park. Let's move on to the next one. Morning Glory Seeds. So LSA, lysergic acid uh, amide. It says AKA the ergine plant, ergine root. Okay. This is basically herbal LSD. So I'm going to talk about LSA. It's basically LSD. These are very, very, very similar substances, and they're going to work very similarly. I don't think I touch on LSD in this. We're just going to touch on LSA because really, you don't need to go to a dealer and buy LSD. Sometimes they put bullshit on those tabs. You don't. If you do LSD, make sure it's pure. You can buy a testing kit. All right, not legal advice, not medical advice, all that. But I would rather have you do morning glory seeds. It's basically herbal LSD. It is extremely chemically similar, and efficaciously very, very, very similar to LSD. It lasts about 10 hours. Um, Typically, it's going to coincide with a stomach ache or a puke, right? So typically, you're going to take it, and then within 30 minutes, you'll throw up, and then you'll trip for about 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. Um, if you take a smaller dose, it'll be less time. But basically, if you want to avoid the puking, you can crush the morning glory seeds into a powder and soak this in water for about an hour. Technically, the outside shell of the black outside of the morning glory seed is what actually makes your stomach upset, and it's not actually required for you to trip. So when you grind it, you're actually like filtering that out. When you put it in water, that dissolves and it doesn't. I've tried this and it's been efficacious. I learned this from, in quotes, there's a book called The Magical and Ritual Use of Herbs by Richard Allen Miller. Richard Allen Miller is basically the head researcher for the SSP. Um, and he's like 80 or 90 years old now. So he's been with the SSP for a long time. And I don't fuck with the SSP at all, yes, but this guy knows his shit. And he seems to be pretty source aligned. Not law of one aligned, perhaps. I think he's still entangled up with the Black Sun and all that, but Black Sun being the Nazis. But yeah, he has his book is phenomenal. I bought it and read it. I have it. But yeah, Morning Glory Seeds is really good. Fuck buying LSD from a drug dealer. Go take LSA. You can buy Morning Glory Seeds on Amazon, or I mean, I think they sell them at Home Depot, man. Um, I've definitely bought them from Home Depot before. It's not hard. Um, Peyote and mescaline is been herbally taken um, by tribes in like Mexico, all that area, like the Southwest area for thousands of years, hundreds of years, thousands of years. It's basically very, very similar to mushrooms, but probably twice as strong. Um, LSD is extremely similar to LSA. It lasts a little bit less long, and it is simply the synthesized. It is very similar to LSA, but it is synthesized. Or more accurately, LSA is similar to LSD because more people talk about LSD than LSA. So keep those in mind. Um, Let me mention this briefly. If you are on a trip, I prefer being alone is great fun, but also being with someone is great. If you're being with someone, you'd want to take the same dose. If you are tripping and they are not, it is going to be night and day. It's not going to be fun for either of you. The tripping person is not going to be able to connect with the person who isn't tripping, and vice versa. It's going to be a clusterfuck. Don't do it. So yeah, I trip buddies are all always fun. Sometimes if you're worked up, your trip buddy who's on the same dose as you are like, "Hey, I feel what you're feeling, but let's not be fearful about this." And you can talk yourself out of fear and stuff. So that could be helpful. Let's move on. So I reached out to the Guardians about substances. I've done a number of sessions with some of my favorite um, Law of One and Guardian Energies based creators. And basically, the Guardians came through and talked about two substances, ketamine and DMT. Again, this is not legal advice, this is not medical advice. DMT is extraordinarily illegal, so I'm not going to encourage you to use it at all. Um, but then again, do whatever you want. I mean, who am I to tell you to do with your free will? Which you'll do with your free will. But anyway, now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about ketamine. Ketamine. So the highest paid doctor in the room when you're getting a surgery is the anesthesiologist, right? He uses ketamine. They use ketamine 95% of the time. All right. It's when someone goes and gets their wisdom tooth taken out, they're on a lot of ketamine. All right. So wisdom tooth medication. So basically, ketamine puts you into suspended animation. So if you are trying to have a very visual meditation, suspended animation is the exact state you want to achieve. This substance directly puts you there. The Guardian said they liked it because it is a very, very, very targeted substance and it is a 100% pure substance. It is not a mix of other substances. It's 100% pure. It technically is not natural, yes, but it is very targeted and very pure. And it induces suspended animation, which allows you to connect with higher dimensional energy. It is everything you want in a meditation, basically, in a substance. Um, Furthermore, it induces the rewiring of neural pathways. All right. So you have neurons, they fire, they fire in a line. That creates a neural pathway. All right. These neural pathways, you can get stuck in a habit, stuck in a way of thinking. You can call that an implant. All right. Ketamine dissolves those, right? Or it makes them mushier so you can rewrite them yourself. That's why ketamine is so powerful. Um, and it's really it kind of takes your current worldview and just like makes it a little mushy kind of thing. And then basically you can rewrite your new timeline. It's really great for timeline jumping. You're on a timeline you don't like, take some ketamine, rewrite your timeline. Ketamine is legal. It is, I've had people do it for PTSD. It is extremely effective for PTSD. You have trauma, extremely effective for trauma, rape trauma, what have you, sexual trauma, all that. It's extremely effective for working through tough situations. I really couldn't think of a better substance at all. Um, and basically, it lasts 1 to 2 hours. So with acid, LSA, LSD, that's gonna be like 4 to 6 or 8 to 10 hours in some it's gonna be closer to 8 hours with LSD. This is 1 to 2 hour mini trip. And once you've done it a few times, like I don't know, like doesn't have to last 2 hours if you have a tolerance. So essentially, you can rewire your brain with a meditation. I mean, like you could do some ketamine. Go have a meditation, do a 1 hour meditation, and then by the time you get up from the meditation, the ketamine will have worn off. I mean, it's almost like it's made for meditation. Anyway, um, it also your first time you're going to do ketamine is going to be a very, very, very happy experience. The first time I did it, I experienced completely just full bliss, complete full bliss. Um, After doing it more times, it's not full bliss every single time, right? What it really is the rewriting of your neural pathways and the connection with higher dimensional energies. It raises your oscillation rate, so you're able to connect with higher dimensional versions of yourself. Um, I'll just say this: I'm not sure it's even possible to have a negative ketamine experience. You could take too much and maybe get overwhelmed, okay? But in 1 hour, you've come down. I mean, who cares? They give it to you at the doctor's office and don't even question it. Okay, no one really has bad trips on ketamine. So, um, highly recommend it for therapy. These doctors are going to want you to go into their doctor's office and take it. Fuck that. Fuck those Rockefeller pieces of shit. Go into nature and go to a park and sit in a tree. Touch the grass with your feet and look at the sun and engage with your medication that way. Moving on. DMT and dimethyltryptamine. So dimethyltryptamine is actually the substance that makes you dream. Your body creates it naturally. When you dream in sleep, you are experiencing a DMT trip. Um, DMT is available from a variety of sources. You can, all the rednecks will basically, you can smoke crabgrass or whatever. That'll get you DMT high. You can extract it from a frog. There's a lot of frogs that have like a gland, and you just like find the gland and like extract it, and it's not very difficult at all. Um, not legal advice, not financial advice. In a legal sense, so legality, legal system is not the lawful system. So if you're not hurting anyone, you can obviously do whatever you want, right? But in a legal sense, there are some very, very, very strict laws against this substance. So if you were to get it from a dealer, it would carry a manslaughter charge in the United States. Be very careful in procuring it from a dealer. Trust your dealer if you're going to go do something like that. Again, not legal advice, not medical advice. Follow all the laws. Um, I mean, I don't know. You want to drink frog juices? Don't let me stop you, right? Um, the way DMT works is when typically it's smoked. There's also another form called ayahuasca, which lasts about 12 hours, and there are tribal ceremonies you can do with it. You're going to vomit for 3 to 4, and then you're going to trip for 10, maybe even longer, maybe 14 hours. So, to me, that is a like gnarly spiritual experience, and you'll definitely be changed. I haven't done ayahuasca. Um, DMT, um, typically when you smoke it, um, there's a movie called Into the Void, and it actually basically shows basically exactly what happens when you take DMT. And it is a very, very realistic representation. It's a what is it? Edgar Noé, I think is the guy's name. He's a French film. I think I'm messing his name up, but it's something Noé, Noe. And if you want to see what DMT looks like in a movie, it is a phenomenal movie. Phenomenal movie to take a substance to, in fact. But anyway, if you take three breaths, typically like three to four breaths, inhales of that DMT smoke will essentially send you into a full out of body. So you will go through a black tunnel and you will end up at the void. You will get a full near death experience. NDE is near death experience. And you will, in quotes, meet the machine elves. If you want to hear more about the machine elves, Terrence McKenna talks all about the machine elves. Um, but these are like little elemental creation beings that kind of help with the creation, and you can view them in the DMT realm, the void, the DMT void realm. Um, so anyway, DMT is very interesting. It is very, very, very strong. When you are smoking it, it lasts basically you take three or four puffs and then you like lay back and your eyes roll back and you're like knocked out for like 20 to 25 minutes and then the trip is over. It's like a 25-minute trip. It's very, 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 very intense. Highly illegal for legal purposes. Whatever, don't take it or something. Or something, right? Um, I want to talk about melatonin real fast. Um, Never take melatonin for sleeping. So the melatonin is the crushed up pineal glands of animals. So that when they kill an animal, they'll harvest the pineal glands and make melatonin capsules out of it. Um, Technically, if you take a bunch of melatonin and stay awake, this will result in an NDE. Okay. The thing is, though, is you are consuming an animal that was brutally killed in an awful way, right? And then, so you're carrying all that karma, you're carrying all that negative energy that the animal had when it was slaughtered. So when you consume that, you're going to be in not a very good place. So every time I experimented with this, where I took a shitload, I took 10 times a daily dose of melatonin, which I do not recommend, and then I stayed awake, which was very difficult, but not all that hard. It was like really difficult for 10 minutes, and then you're awake, and it's no big deal. Basically, you're gonna like lean back, and you're gonna have. I mean, I had sleep paralysis where you were frozen in your body, and then because you consumed like the crushed up pineal glands of animals who died in a slaughterhouse in a really awful way, you are kind of at a weird vibe, a weird oscillation, a weird place. And then you get really fucked by beings in the lower four astral. So that was not fun. Never do that. Okay, moving on. This is a long one today, isn't it? So when you're viewing, I talked about this a little bit already, but so counterclockwise spins is the feminine, so right to left. Um, Typically, this emanates from the 12th chakra below your feet. If it were to come from somewhere else in your field, that's probably all right too, but it really emanates from your 12th chakra beneath your feet. Then you also have the clockwise spin, which is left to right, right? Your proverbial left hook, right? That's your masculine spin. This emanates from the heart center. Typically, it's at the center of the point of view. This is a decent chart. I mean, there are better charts, whatever. Um, you must balance these, all right? Oftentimes, in my astral vision, I will see elementals, snakes, birds. I'm really tied to the Nagas. Shivan energies. So I will get tons of nagas and snakes and worm-like beings and all these types of things. And I have a lot of connection to the winged ones with my Seraphai lineage. So I will get a lot of birds. Um, you don't really want your field dominated by one or the other. You want to have these balanced. Your Mahark seal balances these. That's why I recommend it so strongly. Let's move on here. So, astral beings. So, when you're in the astral, right, you're in a meditation, you're hopping into the astral, right? The most, so I, you meet a lot of elementals and then you also have your higher selves. Let's just start with the elementals. It's very common to meet elementals. Elementals are technically spirit emanations or forms of Gaia herself. So, Sophia or Gaia, however you want to think about the planetary resonance. Um, These are like spirit forms of her that embody themselves in different forms for different tasks. Gaia or Sophia, however you want to think about it, is very powerful and has many emanations. Some of them are going to be birds, some of them are going to be whatever animal you end up, whatever animal elemental you end up meeting, or maybe it's a plant of some kind or something. I don't know. They're all different sorts of elementals. Um, so what I remember is um, they will kind of fuck with you if your field is not coherent. So they will teach you your lesson. If you are cruising for a bruising, if you are looking to learn your lesson, they will happily teach you your lesson. If you are sovereign and have a coherent field, they will flow with your field. They'll be like, oh, you're a cool guy. We're flowing with your field. You got your masculine flowing this way. You got your feminine flowing that way. We got some, for me, it's always I got these serpents, and it's like, oh, I got a serpent going this way. I got a serpent going that way. We're just vibing with you. What up? What up? We're the elementals. All right. And it's super chill. They're like super chill. Like they're always there. They're like, you're on the planet. They're part of the planet. You're part of the planet. You're always going to meet them. All right. Um, basically, um, there's talk that we're not civilized as a society because we have lost our connection to the higher spiritual elements, notably the elementals. So the elementals themselves, the higher dimensional beings, the Fey folk, the Merfolk, uh, um, pixies, or what, how the Fey folk is a very large umbrella. They typically view modern day humans as drunk because they cannot see these elementals. And really, that's quite fucking right. The tree can talk to you, the birds can talk to you, you can connect with all the grass can talk to you, the sun can talk to you. All right. The earth elementals can talk to you in forms of birds and snakes and whatever the hell it appears to you as. Um, so so anyway, you're basically a drunk ass if you can't see these. And as you develop your astral vision, you will start to see these all the time. In the past, humans and the elementals lived much more in harmony. In modern times, humans have atrophied their pineal glands with fluorinated water, fluoride in the water, and spraying that shit from the sky and all this bullshit and fake food and all that stuff, to where we've calcified our pineal glands. That's why we're talking about how to uncalcify it and how to enhance your astral vision in this podcast. Um, the elementals will teach you a lesson if you have it coming. They're super wise. They're super cool creatures. I often find them kind of like aloof. They're not quite as like, I wouldn't necessarily ask an earth elemental about a lesson quite as much as I would ask a higher self about a lesson. But they will teach you lessons if you want to learn from them. For me, they're more like background. It's like, oh, I just hopped into my meditation and like I did my Maharic seal, and then oh man, look, there's some elementals here. Yo, what's up, snakes? Or like a lot of times it'll be birds for me too. So it'll be like, oh, what up, serpents? How's it going, serpents? What up, Naga? How's it going? They're your neighbors. When you walk down the street, you see your fucking neighbors. Why wouldn't you see the earth elementals when you hop into your meditation? Easy peasy. Okay. You can also describe elementals via animal totems. So if you're curious, oh, I saw this elemental and I'm curious because I haven't seen it before. What is it? Look up what is the animal totem for this animal, and that's a great place to start your research. Okay, enough about elementals. They're really fun. They're really cute. They're always going to be around. They're your friends. They're your neighbors. Say what's up and have a good time. Higher selves, though, um, are versions of you from different worlds. So did I put the chart here? I didn't. Okay, I'll cover this in my next video, in a few of my other videos as well. But technically, so we have one time matrix, and then there's actually a parallel fallen time matrix that came out of ours, and then so whenever, so everything is with source, everything is balanced. So if there's a dark parallel world, there has to be a light parallel world. So when one world fell into darkness, another world was created to be the light side offset for that. So technically, we're kind of in a fusion of three kind of worlds here. So, yes, there are 12 dimensions, there are 12 higher selves of you in this time matrix. You also have the fallen one, and the one in the light side, non-fallen one. And our time matrix here is kind of the cross section of those three. So technically, you have 12 higher selves in each one. 12 times 12 times 12 is 1728. And because each one of those 12s have 12 higher selves, you get to multiply them. So 12 times 12 times 12. And they're the Partica, the Particum, and the Particae worlds. Okay. They are always loyal to you, your higher selves. And maybe in a weird instance, they can be going through some issues of themselves and they can take you down the wrong path. But by and large, they are you from other timelines who are loyal to you. Okay. You can meet other ET beings in the astral who want to take advantage of you, who want to drink your loosh, who want to confuse you that they're Jesus or some Draco or whatever. I'm an angel, and they're actually a Draco, and they're fucking sipping your loosh like a milkshake. That can happen all the time. Your higher selves typically aren't going to do that. Basically, they're probably never going to do that. They're you from other timelines. You and those higher selves need to basically combine and merge for you to ascend. So you're all in the same ascension mission. So you're gonna actually, there's not really a particular reason why you shouldn't be in lockstep with each other. If your higher self you think is acting out of line, what you can do is call on. So your even number higher selves are night side. Basically, that doesn't mean they're evil, but they're in dark dimensions. And then you have night side dimensions, right? And then you have negative polarity dimensions, if you will. And then you have your odd number higher selves, which are your light side dimensions, right? So essentially, if you think one of your higher selves is fucking with you, you can call on your highest light, which would be 11. Be like, yo, 11. I think 10 is fucking with me. Put 10 in his place. I'm tired of this bullshit. And they will. They're you. They're all you. You can command them and they will do it. They're you. If you're doing something to harm yourself, maybe they won't do it. But as long as it's for your highest and best light, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. There's really no reason why they wouldn't do it. Um, but yeah, your night side, your even number higher selves are your night side higher selves. They're your shadow self. And then, so you know how you like the angel and the devil on your shoulder? That's exactly what this is. You actually have 12 of them in this time matrix, and then 12 of them in the other fallen phantom matrix. And then in the light side matrix that offset that one, you also have 12 more. And each one of those has 12 higher selves as well. So like you're basically like you're not I'm Kavi, right? No, you're like the Kavi collective actually because you have 1728 of these versions of you. Okay? So, once you kind of realize that you're living in a different world and when you're going into a meditation, you can communicate with these beings all the time. No big deal. No big deal at all. Um, you must incorporate them into your life. I have been sending, I told my highest light, my 11th higher self, to force all of my higher selves, because 11th is most powerful, right? Highest dimensional energy, that's light side. I said, I'm forcing you to force all the other higher selves to go to Ascension School. So now we're all in Ascension School. And I just forced them to do that. And I called it in a meditation, and now they're at Ascension School. And they're ascending too. So as you ascend, they can ascend too. So it's a really cool dynamic system that you're a part of, and these are just different versions of you. And it's no big deal. It's really, really cool and really magical. And if you think they're bossing you around, sick your highest light on them. Done. Um, in Star Wars, there's an episode of the Clone Wars animated show, which is a really good show, by the way. I think it's season one, or no, it's season four, where Yoda has to go face. Um, Basically, Yoda goes to Dagobah and has like a force vision in the forest, right? And essentially, um, Yoda faces his shadow self. He has to face his shadow self. And basically to conquer his shadow self, what Yoda does is basically the quote is, I see you, shadow self. I recognize you, but you have no hold over me. And then the shadow self disappeared and stopped fucking with him. And that's kind of how it worked for your higher selves too. Your shadow selves may fuck with you to teach you lessons, right? But basically, what you need to do is be like, I see you, shadow self. You are part of me. You are the even numbers of my higher selves, which I have 1728 of. There's plenty of them. Half of them are night side shadow selves, right? You need to see them. You need to recognize them. You need to not be mad at them for existing. They're a part of you. They're just a polarized part of you. All right. But tell them you have no hold over me. I have free will. I'm going to do what's in my highest and best timeline. I'm not going to be bossed around by the decisions that have brought you to be in a polarized realm. We need to ascend together. So anyway, I see you, shadow self. I recognize you, but you have no hold over me. I'm going to do what's best for my highest and best timeline. Yoda was right. Let's move on. Non-benevolent ET beings. So look, when you have, in quotes, holes in your aura, if you will, or you have a non-coherent field, or basically you haven't ran your Maharic seal yet and called in non-polarized light with your Maharic seal, or you haven't run your High-Beckett codes and called in dimensions 13 through 15 non-polarized light, you can have holes in your aura. If you have called in that non-polarized light and then you decide you want to engage in separation, these beings can come into your field too. So you would need to realign yourself with that Maharic seal with those High-Beckett codes. So it's all about alignment. You can fall out of alignment at any time and then bring yourself back to it. It's a consistent journey. You're always able to engage in separation and then come back to the light. Engage in separation and come back to the light. I'm not saying you should engage in separation, but it's always possible. Um, so when you have holes in your aura or a non-coherent field, however you want to think about that, or you're oscillating at a low dimensional energy. Um, Basically, these non-benevolent ET beings will hop into your field when it's non-coherent. If you have negative thoughts, you have holes in your aura, these are all the same things. They will try and keep you down. When you as a being who emotes, when you have an emotion, you emote into 12D across all dimensions. Okay? So, um, you emote in 12 dimensions. If you are sad, you are choosing to oscillate your your field at a lower dimension than you have to be, right? So it's giving off this loosh thing, and they can essentially come up to you and drink that energy off you like a milkshake. Kind of like how you have two magnets and you put them near each other with the wrong polarization and they retract each other. They can kind of use that kind of same technology and basically drink the loosh off you like a milkshake. So if you are having negative thoughts, you are getting looshed by a being in the astral. I know that's a tough thing, a tough pill to swallow. Um, but yeah, you really need to have a coherent field or else they will loose you. And when they loose you, it's technically not a big deal, right? But it takes up your energy. And then you need to go eat more food. You need to go sleep more. You need to go exercise more. It takes up your life prana, your force, your life force. A lot of times when they're loosing you, they will bliss you up. So you feel really good. Oh, I'm talking to Jesus, or I'm talking to Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is blissing you, dumb fuck. He's fucking blissing you. He's blissing you up and then loosing you. Archangel Michael is in dimension 12, technically a polarized realm. If you have a Maharic seal up where you're balancing 12 with 11, all of a sudden your polarization is balanced and no one is loosing you. Done. If you're running your Hiveka codes, you run right behind my head there, the Triveka code. There it is. That pulls an energy from dimensions 13 through 15, non-polarized energy. Archangel Michael or whomever the fuck can't fuck with you if there's non-polarized energy in your field, or if you've balanced the polarization in your field with a Maharic seal. Okay. So if you feel blissy as fuck when you're meditating, maybe you're bringing on, maybe the first time you run your Hiveka codes, it's going to be kind of maybe it's kind of blissy, but typically if you're getting blissed up in the astral, you are getting loosed. Typically, these non-benevolent ET beings will bliss you up. They'll make you feel really good, and then they'll loose you. So basically, they make you feel a certain way, and then they take your energy and drink it up. Okay, if you're feeling eerie, you're kind of like, oh, I'm on edge when you're in a meditation. This is you getting loosed. You don't want to feel on edge. You don't want to feel weird in a meditation. That's you getting loosed. You don't want that. Or at a bare minimum, they're attempting to loose from you. Okay, you don't want to have a weird feeling in a meditation. If you're feeling weird in your meditation, you need to clear your fucking field using my clearing mantra, using your Maharic seal, using your Hiveka codes. These are all great. You can also just call in guardian councils. I call in the guardian councils. I call in the guardian council. I call in the guardian council. Say it 3 times. Say it 7 times. Say it 12 times. Say it 13 times. Say it 15 times. These are all great numbers. All right. The guardian councils are there for you if you call them in. They're just generally always there for you in general, but they're definitely there if you call them in. Um, Typically, when you have a non-benevolent ET being, a lot of times they will appear as like a mimicry. They'll use mimicry. So oftentimes you will have like I've had situations where like an angel appeared to me with big fucking angel wings, and I was like, "Whoa, cool wings, bro! Where'd you get those?" And then they basically like want to talk to you and shoot the shit with you, and then I was like, "Wait, am I sure you're an angel?" So what did I say? I said, "Show your true form, show your true form, show your true form." And then basically what happened is they transformed into a Draco. And then I was like, "Oh, you're here to drink my fucking loosh. Get the fuck out of my field, bitch." And they left. And that's that. If you say show your true form 3 times, they have to show their true form by universal law. All right, they can't get around that. You can also say, are you source aligned? You can also say, are you from my highest and best path? You can also say, are you Christic? Sometimes it might be for your highest and best path to meet a negative being in the astral. So Maybe asking, are you Christic? Right? Christic is, are you law of one? I should have put that up here. Are you law of one? You could just ask, are you law of one? But you typically want to ask it 3 times, not just once. Um, so yeah, that's how you can kind of, if you meet a weird being in the astral, you meet a scary fucking being in the astral, giving you a weird feeling, or maybe you're blissed up as fuck in the astral and you're like, this isn't natural. Why am I blissed up? Feeling peaceful is not blissed up, by the way. Feeling peaceful is peaceful. Peaceful is different than blissed up. But if you're feeling heavily blissed up, it's probably some little gray alien, some fallen Anunnaki, so, coming into your field to drink your loosh. So show me your true form 3 times. Typically, they'll be like, oh shit, you've revealed my disguise, and now the jig is up, and they're going to leave. Are you source aligned? Are you law of one aligned? Are you Christic? Are you for my highest and best path? These are all really, really good filters you can apply to your field by using spoken word, or even just saying it in your mind. Okay. Um, let's move on. Other types of astral beings. So the guardians. The guardians are from dimensions 12 through 15. In a technical sense, um, dimension 12 is polarized, but it's the highest dimensional polarized realm. Let's just leave that right there for right now. Um, but yeah, the guardian collectives, the guardian councils are collectives, right? So they're less so individualized beings. Um, you're connecting to a collective. Once you're in dimension 13, 13 and higher, you can be 15 dimensions in our time matrix. Dimensions 13 through 15, in those dimensions, you don't get a choice. There is no red or blue. There's no vote. You don't get to vote. All right. The Guardians are like, what is best for the highest and best timeline? And they vibe with that energy as a collective, and that is what is. There's nothing else to it. Right? So we have chosen separation by coming in these lower dimensional realms to be able to have free will choice, which is really beautiful. But the Guardian Councils don't experience that. So if you want a definitive fucking answer on something, ask the Guardian Councils. Don't ask Archangel Michael. Don't ask Jesus. Don't ask whatever deity or entity or whatever the flying shit. Whatever. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. Don't ask a saint. Sure as fuck don't pray to Jesus. That's what the fuck, man? Which Jesus are you? I mean, we're not even going to go into the Jesus conversation right now. We're not even going to do it. I don't even have patience for this. But if you want to talk with beings who cannot lie to you under any possible circumstance, the guardians cannot lie to you. So go speak with the guardians. Um, so basically, they will give you the, in quotes, correct answer in a law of one, highest and best timeline for all sense. Highest and best timeline for you, highest and best timeline for them, highest and best timeline for the planet. They are law of one. Guardians are law of one. So they are really your go-to. So you're going to meet the elementals often. You're going to meet your higher selves because of different versions of you. Then also the guardians is the true data source. A lot of people talk about, oh, I'm going to go into the Akashic records and view this. Buddy, the Akashic records is some fallen angel fucking horse shit. Don't do that. The Akashic records are not natural. Do not fuck with the Akashic records. Ask the guardians. The guardians are what you think the Akashic records are, dumb shit. All right. I don't mean to cuss people out, but like I see all these people, oh, I channeled the Akashic records. Yeah. Bitch, go to just ask the guardians. They can't lie to you. These Akashic records can lie to you. What the fuck are you doing? And if you think they can't lie to you, then you're getting duped, bro. There's nothing about these Akashic records that say they can't lie to you. There's nothing in there that says they can't lie to you. Nothing in there. Okay. So the guardian councils are your top point of contact. I will say this: they are pretty high vibe. They're high oscillation. They're in a very high oscillation. You want to ask the guardians about taking the trash out now or taking the trash out in 20 minutes. I don't know if they're the right ones for that. Maybe ask a higher self, right? Maybe your six-dimensional higher self has taken the trash out at one point in their life or something, right? But yeah, the guardian councils are very, very high dimensional etheric beings, collectives, if you will. And they're, if you want the literal fucking truth, nothing but the truth, you go to them. It is possible for you to ask them a question and to not get an answer. They will never give you a wrong answer, but they might not give you all of the full answer because you are not ready for the full answer, right? You don't want to give a child a loaded fucking gun and be like, "Oh, just shoot it anywhere. Have fun." You don't want to give um Hitler nukes, right? I don't know. I don't know. You don't want to give a child a loaded gun. So they're not going to give you a loaded gun if you ask them a really complex question. They will give you what's required for you to answer that question piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, right? If it's for your highest and best timeline, which it is if you're asking for it. You have a free will choice, and if it's for your highest and best timeline, go ask for it, whatever. Okay, enough about the Guardians. Let's move on. Greys. Okay, Audrey and I are going to, or Arya and I are going to do an episode about the Greys. So this one is going to be really brief, but basically they want to get your DNA for experiments to fix their genetics. Okay, this will be a hard no always. If you're a sovereign being, you are not giving your DNA away to Greys. There is no reason to do this. These beings need to learn the ascension path for themselves and fucking ascend. You do not owe them anything. It is not your duty to give them your DNA. You don't need to have a Grey family. All right. I may have given some Greys inadvertently my DNA because I was feeling generous at one point in time. I do not feel that way at all right now, and I will never in the future. If you have a Grey family, if you got duped by a Grey alien to give them genetics, if they kidnapped you and put some shit up your ass in an anal probe and extracted some shit from you, um, some DNA from you. I mean, really, all they need is a hair on your head. They need one speck, one cell from you to make a Grey hybrid. So it's very easy for them to get DNA from you. Grey hybrids, Grey um, beings made from human beings spliced with Greys is very, very, very common. If you have a Grey family, you don't need to go kill them. You don't need to exterminate them or anything. They're just fine. They're beings and they're going to live their lives. But um, they kind of also stole your DNA. They tricked you into getting your DNA. So it's not very sovereign. It's kind of not your problem. You don't need to help them with their problems. All right. They're another being that kind of stole your DNA if they did. And you don't need to give them your DNA. Okay. Um, Oftentimes it's said that, oh, the Greys are you from the future. They're a version of you from the future. No, they're not. No, they're fucking not. Full stop, they're not. That's fucking bullshit. If someone tells you that, you need to tell them, you need to stop them, and you need to tell them to their face that they're fucking wrong. Okay. Typically, in terms of when you see Greys, they are contract goons for non-benevolent Dracos and Anunnaki. So the um the structure here is the Anunnaki sit on top, the Dracos sit underneath them, and then underneath those sit the Greys. And the Greys are typically for contract. The Dracos are typically enslaved. Um, and then the Anunnaki are just like shitheads. They're like frat boys. They're Anunnaki are drunk frat boy vibes. So, but they're very, powerful. They're Anunnaki from the eighth dimension. So they're powerful beings. Dracos are typically from 4, 5, and 6. Although there are higher Dracos, of course. Let's move on to the Dracos. Dracos are typically really thick-headed. So they're like simple-minded. They're like, this is my objective. I'm gonna go fucking do it. Reptile brain, reptile brain, reptile brain. All right. They have like military objectives. They're not really interested in dark magic. Yeah, they can use trickery and things, but like they're not necessarily tricky beings. They're usually pretty simple-minded. Um, they are typically so they have a brutal, really fucking brutal ass caste system. They are all typically their society is like a slave caste system thing. Um, And basically, basically the way their caste system works is they take sex away from the males, and then they make the males work as slaves for the females, typically. And so if the males do good, maybe they can get the right to mate. And so these beings have no sexual contact their whole life. They're basically all virgins. They're all basically sad virgins. They're sad reptile virgins. And if they achieve something that's valuable for the state, valuable for the queen, then the queen will let them mate with a female. Okay, that is awful. That is fucking terrible. That is abject slavery, and that is atrocious. And we feel sorry for them, and we want to teach them the law of one and help them ascend. They often disguise themselves as angels and appeal to religious humans. Even when you go to a church and all these beings are seeing angels, they're most likely seeing Dracos. Full stop. Are there angels? Yes. Um, a lot of these angels are fallen beings as well. So, yeah. Be very wary of Dracos, especially the ones in and around Earth 606. There are definitely many, many, many benevolent Dracos. Do not think that all Dracos are non-benevolent. That is not the case. But the ones in and around Earth Especially, I mean, Earth isn't like 3D. We're just graduated to 4. We're on our way to 5, right? So we're very low dimensional energy compared to these other dimensions. So the reptiles, the Dracos around here are often very, very, very Lucy, non-benevolent. I will also mention that, um, yeah, tons of benevolent Dracos, just not around Earth 606 typically. Um, I also want to mention that Nagas, the serpent beings, are not Dracos. They do have some Draco lineage, yes, but the serpent beings are typically extraordinarily benevolent. Extraordinarily benevolent. All right. Dracos typically, many of them eat and drink human blood. All right. So Nagas do not do that. Nagas are sacred friends and beautiful beings. And are there perhaps some non-benevolent Nagas? Yes. But by and large, the Nagas are your friends, and the serpents are not. Um, there are also higher level dragons that are very benevolent, right? All the ley lines on this planet are dragons. Ley lines are dragons. So there's a lot of dragon consciousness, a lot of draconian reptile consciousness, and then it's not necessarily non-benevolent, but just beware. There's a lot. The beings that are typically going to be looshing you are Dracos, by the way. Like 9 times out of 10, they're either Greys or Dracos or Anunnaki. Let's move on to Anunnaki here. Anunnaki um, have kind of historically run under Marduk. They ran kind of the slave planet when Earth 606 was more of a slave planet and not ascending as much. Um, it was run under Marduk. Marduk has lost his seat. I'm not going to go into too much of that right today, but essentially, the Dracos sit underneath them, and then the Greys sit underneath them as contractors. The Anunnaki are really into dark magic and sex magic. And sex magic is not bad, by the way, but they do really dark occult. So when you see these SRA, sexual ritual abuse, or I'm sorry, satanic ritual abuse, that is all Anunnaki bullshit. When you see children getting raped, all Anunnaki satanic ritual abuse. All I'm not gonna say it out loud, but the Baal uh, uh, um, deity or what have you, a being that I mean, all that worship is all Anunnaki bullshit. Okay, so they're not typically Anunnaki are not doing are not very sovereign. They're not looking out for you, and they're going to be in your field to loose you. They're typically not your friends. Are there some good Anunnaki? Maybe. Um, I I I have no instance in meeting Anunnaki because most of them are not your friend. Okay. Um, they do their vibe is like a drunk frat bro. They want to party, they want to be drunk, they want to be fucked up, and they want to make bad decisions and not learn from them. So we hope that they choose the law of one and ascend. Yeah, Anunnaki cause a lot of trouble on this fucking planet. There are good Anunnaki. There are plenty of good Anunnaki, to be clear, but they're just not around here. So if you see an Anunnaki, best of luck. Get them out of your fucking field. Um, so now I want to talk about your lineage. Um, I'm probably gonna make a separate video on this entirely. I'm putting a lot into this video. This is how I'm doing it. Get used to it. But essentially, what you want to do is you pull your natal chart. So either your Western or your tropical, I'm sorry, your Western or your Vedic chart or sidereal or whatever. Probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but either way, you can pull your Western or Vedic chart, it doesn't matter. And then basically what you're going to do is compare your natal chart to what's called the fixed star conjunction. So you basically can get a list of these fixed star conjunctions, um, and then you compare your natal chart to those fixed star conjunctions. So basically you are determining where your soul spark originated from. Your natal chart is based on your birth date and birth time and birth location of when you came into 3D. When you came into 3D, you brought your source spark into this dimension. So if you're looking at where your fixed star conjunctions are relative to your source spark when you came into this dimension, you're basically seeing where you have lived past lives or parallel lives or future lives, because time is all kind of concurrent, past, future, and parallel is all kind of the same thing at a certain point. But basically, you're determining those other lifetimes you've had. So you can reach out to these. So when you're reaching out to, oh, higher self number 6, that aligns on your natal chart. And then better yet, You can get a rock to represent that energy, and you can meditate with that rock in your hand when you want to call on that higher self, right? All these things line up on all levels. And once you understand that, it's a really simple dance. Okay. Um, so yeah, reach out to these beings, reach out, they're your higher selves. This is your direct soul lineage. This is your ancestor memory, if you will. These beings are you from different times and different places. They are part of your, in quotes, soul monad. All right. All your higher selves put together in one is called your soul monad. All right. Um, in my experience, I have met most of my higher selves in this. I've met all of my higher selves in the astral for sure. But actually, you can go a step further and actually meet them in person if you'd like. Um, I guess I've met six in person. I met him in person. I have to update this. Five I have not met in person, but all the others I've met in person. And basically, um, I went to a park. I engaged with some substances. You saw my video on substances, not legal advice, not medical advice. Do your own research. I took heavy doses of substances, and I had the intent of calling in my higher selves. And I was in a private space. You want to go to a private space. Um, and basically, when they appeared, a couple of them came in UFOs. A couple of them didn't need UFOs to show up here. Because they're very high in a higher dimension. You don't really need a UFO to travel. You can just travel with your light body. But when they appeared to me, time stopped, like completely stopped. It was uncanny. And I had open eye visuals of them, and time was totally different. And it was like everything like stopped. It's hard to describe, but time fucking stopped. I was like frozen, and I was like, whoa. Like I'm like frozen in place, and there's like a big giant red fucking 10 foot tall red grasshopper talking with me. Whoa. You know, these are extremely memorable events. And yeah, if you're going to make physical contact, I recommend being away from others. I have had physical contact with my higher selves, with other people around. One time I was doing something that was going to cause me a lot of trouble for my timeline, and my 10th higher self, who was a big giant red grasshopper, mantoid being, he popped up, and time stopped, and the person I was talking with didn't see them, but I did. And time stopped, and it was like one of the most memorable events in my life. And I'll never forget it. I'm sure it happened. It wasn't a hallucination, or the word hallucination, bro, is you connecting with your higher selves in a different timeline. And if you're too scared to handle that, you're going to think it's a hallucination, like some dipfuck Rockefeller, a genocidal fucking pill pusher. These beings are far from moral. These pill pushers, these Rockefeller pill pushers. So the word hallucination does not exist. All right, the word hallucination is you connecting with your higher selves, dumb fuck. Get that through your head. You don't have a hallucination. There's no hallucination. There is no such thing as a hallucination. That is you connecting with your higher self. And you can definitely do it. If you've had hallucinations, you've probably met all your higher selves in person. Congrats. Stop tripping about it. That's an honorable event. That shows that you have progressed a long way in your soul's evolution. And if you got scared of it, okay, be less scared of it next time. If you want to meet these higher selves, I recommend climbing a tree in a remote place in a park. Um, Substances can raise your oscillation so that your higher selves can basically they're coming down from like dimension 10 or whatever in the case of my grasshopper experience to dimension like 3 or 4 or wherever you're sitting. Right now, I think the collective consciousness is sitting closer to 4 rather than 3, but anyway, they're coming down from 10 to like 4, dude. That is a huge drop for them. So it's hard for a 10th dimensional being to hang out with you in this dimension for a long time. So oftentimes they show up, they appear, and then they leave. And typically you'll get a lot of like feelings and downloads from that experience, and it can take days to unpack those. Um, so yeah, they're coming down and to meet you. So they're not going to hang out for that long. Sometimes they're going to, you know, maybe I've had, I had sage in this bowl, and the sage fell off the bowl 5 feet across the room. And the physics for it falling across the room like that was fucking impossible. So that was my higher self appearing to me and putting the sage across the room. So yeah, physical CE5 experience with my higher self. These are very, very common. Not a big deal. Very common. They're you from a different timeline. There's no reason why you shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't want to talk with them. There's no reason why you wouldn't. Okay. Do it in a sovereign way. If your night side, your shadow selves, higher selves are bossing you around, sick your light side, higher selves on them. Okay. Not too hard. Um, Also, don't bring weapons. A lot of these beings do not understand what a phone is and might think your phone is a weapon. Um, I have gone on meditations with like firearms on me and things, because I was being tracked by a SSP and all this shit. The SSP can't really fuck with you in that way. Um, so you don't really need a gun. And bringing a gun to a meditation is wrong. Bringing a knife to a meditation is wrong. It's fucking wrong. If you have to have a knife on you or something, keep it in your bag when you meditate. I've had meditations where I had a knife on my belt, and my higher self grabbed that shit off my belt and threw it on the ground next to me during my meditation. Closed eyes. It was nothing was touching my belt. There was no way the knife could have gone off my belt, and it fell off my belt. Okay, so anyway, um, yeah. Basically, if you're followed by cops after doing this, if you meet with your higher self and then cops trail you after this, you did nothing wrong. They can't touch you. They can't fuck with you. If there's no victim, you've done nothing wrong, and the cops can't fuck you. So again, no reason to bring a weapon. Um, this has been very long. I'm actually tired out from this one. Um, I kind of gave everyone just a ginormous list of all these astral tips. I went on so many tangents. This is my style of teaching. If you don't like it, I'm so sorry. I recommend you listen to this video 3 times at 2x speed. That's what I would do. Maybe 1.5x speed. I talk fast. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to review what I talked about today and we'll leave it there. So, um, when meditating, set and setting, your mindset and where you are is very important, especially when using substances. You want to have your ankhs set up. Um, you want to be doing your pineal gland push-ups, right? Flexing your third eye with crossing your eyes and looking up. That is enhanced with sun gazing, with grounding your bare feet on the ground. And again, the sun is a portal. It is a Stargate portal to the Templar Stargate grid, which connects you to dimensions 1 through 12, and then also in a expanding sense, all the other dimensions. So that's very beneficial. When you are meditating, nose inhale, mouth exhale. I will sometimes, when I'm doing mantras, I will inhale, speak the words like a whisper, like right? You can inhale the syllables and exhale that. That's the only time you should be mouth breathing. All right. Your nose is for inhaling, your mouth is for exhaling. When you want to do those breaths, you want to do lower abdomen first, middle abdomen second, upper abdomen third, then your chest breath. That's called the Yogi Complete Breath. I made a book covering the Yogi Complete Breath on my channel. Check it out. It's lots of fun. You want to have your ankhs. You can use other hand poses. You can use rocks. These rocks should be connected to your lineage. They need to be cleansed with 12D or better energy. They need to be your own, or you shouldn't be using them. You shouldn't just be meditating with random shit you found on the ground. Um, these rocks can connect you to your higher selves. Um, you can use your pineal push-ups to flex and strengthen your pineal gland. Basically, your pineal, the crossing your eyes and looking up, your pineal push-ups, that is your gas pedal. Easy peasy. Once you realize that you have a gas pedal to control how much higher dimensional energy you pull into your field, it's just like driving then, isn't it? Not too hard. Substances. I would typically, you don't need to be doing substances first of all, but they can enhance your experience. I smoked pot every day for many, many years. I don't smoke pot every day now. Um, Typically, I would recommend not doing something daily in terms of substances. Many substances are very addictive. I would avoid doing substances daily if at all costs. Um, and I would recommend when you do a substance, you should have a purpose. You should have an intent. Um, Getting drunk for no reason is a stupid ass idea. Taking psychedelics for no reason, many times stupider of an idea. Okay, you're gonna learn your fucking lesson if you take psychedelics for no reason. Let me tell you, you will learn your lesson. As someone who has stripped over 100 times before the age of 21, um, you'll learn your goddamn lesson. Um, Spins, you need to balance your masculine left to right clockwise spins with your counterclockwise, right to left, feminine spins. That's really easy to do with a Maharic seal. Okay. It balances it for you using 11D and 12D light, the two highest dimensions within our polarized 12D time matrix. I typically like to do the Maharic seal, and then I run my High-Vecca codes. So I'm bringing in all sorts of energies. The High-Vecca codes, there are six High-Vecca codes. Four of them are bringing in non-polarized energy. So yeah, very beneficial to have non-polarized energy in your field. Um, if some being is trying to fuck with you and you hit them with your heart coherence, they will leave. If you say those special words, show your true form, they will leave. If you hit them with, I call in the guardian councils, I call in 12D light from Lyra Aramitana. You call that light into your field, that Draco can't loose you because they're not in 12D. No being in 12D is going to loose you. Well, maybe being in 12D could, but not in 13. Let's say that. I don't think 12D beings can loose you. I think it's 12 and lower. I might have to check on that. But anyway, that is hyper nuanced. Very, very, very nuanced. And then we also talked about astral beings. We have the elementals. They will fuck with you. If you're cruising for a bruising, basically. You're drunk if you're not seeing them. Get on my level, bro. Hop on that meditation, meet your astral friends, your elementals. They're your homies, they're your neighbors. The merfolk, the fae, they're your neighbors. They're everywhere. And they're your friends. And life is beautiful when you can go meet the fae. Go to the park, smoke a joint and go talk to the fae people. That's fucking beautiful. Go talk to the fucking mermaids. Go talk to the inner earth beings. Go talk to whomever. I mean, you also have your higher selves, which are different versions of you. You have 1728 versions of these. I usually typically reach out to the ones in this time matrix, 1 through 12, and I call them by name. Even number is um, is the night side. Odd number is the light side. All right. And you want to kind of make sure you kind of have the shadow side in under control, right? They're you, they're different parts of you. They're not going to betray you, but also this it's your shadow self, so they might fuck with you a little bit, right? Um, unless you rein them in, and you can rein them in with your light side higher selves, or the guardian councils. Um, they're also non-benevolent beings. Typically, your Greys, your Dracos, and your Anunnaki. Also, there's some non-benevolent mantoids. Um, Mantoids are a little bit more split. There's some good and bad mantoids. Um, and then basically, guardian councils are from the non-polarized realm. So if you want a definitive answer to something, a clean yes or no on something, call the guardians. Guardians may not help you with things that are local, right? They're in dimensions like 12 through 15, notably 13 through 15. And they experience non-polarization at all times in dimensions 13 through 15. So if you ask them about something, they might give you a definitive answer. They also might be like, hey, like maybe refer to one of your higher selves, or maybe refer to one of the members of the Guardian Alliance who are aligned with the Guardians and the law of one and source, but aren't in Dimension 13. Dimension 13 is a really, really, really high vibe. High oscillation, high density, if you will. Um, talked about the Greys, we talked about the Anunnaki, and then we talked about how to line up your lineage. All right, I think that's been enough for today. Do I have any more slides? No, I don't. Okay. Thank you for coming by. I'm going to be releasing a shitload more videos. Arya, or Audrey, as she publicly goes by, and I will be doing a ton more videos coming soon. Tomorrow, I have an interview with um, what is it? Arkeem Ra. It's Arkeem Ra. He's a really cool guy. He's got a cool new album out. So we're going to be interviewing with him. Hopefully that goes viral. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. Um, but yeah, tons more content coming on the way. I think I have like 2 or 3 slideshows already prepared, but I am going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And hope you're along for the ride. If this was too much for you, like go watch my older videos. Like the stuff builds on itself. And I've kind of been starting with the more simple things and leading to the more of the complex things. Anyway, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you for coming by. Peace, love, and sovereignty. Sovereignty, not saviors. And speak the eternal ELAYSA flame.